What's going on, everybody? Justin Schwartz here, coming at you live here at the DJ's Guru Studio, Tuesday, August 22nd, and we're coming at you for the DJX 23 recap show. Very, very happy tonight to be joined with Shawn Hazan, President and CEO of Hazan Media Group, and also a late edition but a big addition to our show tonight, Jim Tremayne of DJ Life magazine, formerly of DJ Times, goes back for decades. This man has stories that you could only imagine and has been in places that are really, really great. So we're so happy to have him on with us tonight. Just want to say hello to our audience out there watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, and we're not going to waste any time tonight. We're going to join and bring on our guests right away. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Shawn Hazan and Jim Tremayne. How are you, fellas? What's going on?
How you
Thanks
doing?
for having us.
Thanks.
Hey. So, wow. I did a show after Expo 21, and I'll tell you what, the people that I had on wasn't as good. So I'm happy to have you guys on here to talk about the expo with, I mean, literally the guys that put it together and have been part of putting it together for since its inception, right, Jim?
While our memory is still fresh, it's only been a week and a half or so. So somehow we'll try to recall most of this stuff. And if you want to talk about DJ expos of yore, days of yore, I can do that as well. But yeah, we're happy to talk about it. We like to reach out to our audience, our community, and field whatever questions they have.
I think that's the big thing tonight is we want to make sure that the voices out there and the DJs that attend and people that have never been there and want to go to a DJ show, we want to hear your comments. We want to hear, especially from those that were there, how did you like DJX 23? What is your feedback? Let's hear it. Before we go into that, we're going to, of course, go through kind of everything that happened at the show as much as we can. But, Shawn,
Yeah,
thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And I will really quickly just give a little insight into our relationship. We kind of connected going back now to maybe December, January, started talking. And your thing that I found really refreshing was you really want to learn.
yeah.
So much that after our first conversation, he's like, I still DJ and we do some nightclubs and I'm out pretty late. And Shawn's like, where are you? Because he actually lives in New York where I am. Says he's going to come out. I'm like, there's no way this guy's coming out. 12:30 in the morning.
Is that what you said?
Who shows up? And of course I had a few drinks. So it was a very interesting meeting, but
Made things better, right?
I'll tell you what, for me, I'm a lot of fun when I have a couple of drinks. So I hope you had a good time.
I did.
But either way, I mean, from that conversation on, I just had a lot of respect for you. And I wanted to help you guys and do what I can and introduce you to our audience and let them see what I've seen and see how hard you guys and girls over there at Hazan Media and DJ Life Mag are working for this group of people called DJs and event professionals, So tell us a little bit about yourself. introduce yourself to our audience, and then
Sure.
Maybe introduce Jim for us too.
I'm happy that would be a pleasure for me. My name is Shawn Hazan. Like you said, I'm the president and CEO of Hazan Media Group. We produce DJ Life Mag and its digital properties, as well as DJX. I personally have been in the lifestyle markets for production of events for over 30 years and integrated media. Coming into this industry in 21, I've been very fortunate to have Jim teach me along the way. And what's been very evident to me is the passion that the DJ community has, as well as their desire to kind of give back and teach and educate the community. So for me, it's relatable, having equal passion, running events and building communities, which I think is really what I've always done. And as a young community, 50 years old or so, comparative to other lifestyle markets, and fashion as an example is 5,000 years old. For me, my hope is that I could take some of the experience I've learned over the past 30 years and bring it to this marketplace. I feel that our role, a producer of events role, a media company's role, is to be a point of leadership in an industry and to assist the market in navigating the obstacles that naturally exist, whether that's supply chain and related to the COVID timeframe or other distribution issues that could exist, brick and mortar versus online, and all the things that have gone on in any industry sector. So our hope is that we can continue to evolve and make a marketplace that is better. It keeps getting better as time goes on. And so, I've been lucky enough, and here's the transfer, Jim. I've been lucky enough to have Jim engaged, not only for the 35 years, but engaging me and educating me in what I'll refer to as boot camp. And he's done a great job with that. But when you talk about the stories, Jim is the guy who is really the one worth talking to.
As long as my memory is still working. But yeah, thanks, Shawn.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jim Tremayne, I worked at DJ Times from 1990 to 2021. We started DJ Expo in 1990 as well. So I've done every DJ Expo, DJX show that we have produced ever. When we transitioned to DJ Life, I tried to maintain the broad approach to both the magazine and the show. By that, I mean, we're a magazine and a trade show for the mobile DJ, the club DJ, the studio DJ, the content creator, the turntablist, the entire DJ community. We're not just representing one sector of it. We're trying to be aspirational. We want to show people, we want to tell people success stories. We want to review all the pertinent products that come out to all the different sectors of the DJ world. And additionally, we like to go to all the events, trade shows, festivals, get together, networking events that the industry does. So, for example, I'm out here in Hollywood, California right now at the Scam Summer Show, schmoozing with the West Coast DJ scene. And then in October, I'll be in Amsterdam for the Amsterdam Dance event. And then next year, I'll be at the NAMM show, reporting on all the new products out there. So, and the trade show, we believe, reflects what the magazine does as well. And we're also branching out into a little more lifestyle. We're bringing up, hopefully, the next generation of DJs by having some content for them at the show. And we firmly believe that, we want to give the next generation a starting point, a launching point. And, we firmly believe that we want to be the magazine and the trade show from cradle to grave. And there's not another magazine or trade show that does that. And some people think that's a little nuts, but fact of the matter is we've been doing it since really the magazine since 1988 and the trade show since 1990. So we must be doing something right.
If you're watching this and you never had a copy of the DJ Times delivered to your home or picked one up at a record shop or a DJ store, you might not understand how big of a deal that magazine was to DJs, because pre-social media, you did not have we all will say DJing is a lonely thing. You're by yourself a lot. And then there aren't a lot of people that do it, especially back then. So to be able to pick up that, and it was always bigger, right? It was
right.
It really it had great pictures, and it wasn't just text. It was a lot of really cool stuff. Plus there was advertisements, and you got to see gear from a lot of the manufacturers, and you just didn't have that. You didn't have that anywhere else. It really was nothing else like it. So you now have essentially taken that model and brought it into a trade show and are now bringing
the digital world,
bringing it to the digital
and
world.
and we do have some print editions as well. And this is what it looks like. It might look a little familiar to those who subscribed to DJ Times back in the day. So we're trying to bring that flavor, but also, follow the evolution of the DJ industry.
Right.
And we have to pay attention to what's going on the music side, but also on the technology side.
Right. That's the rebranding.
What's up, Lehman? Lehman had a free copy of DJ Times back in '98. Josh Wink was on the front cover. I got to tell you, I think I remember that one.
Yeah, I actually did that story. I think Josh is on the cover 3 or 4 times. And who's that?
Yeah. If you're watching this and you had a cover of DJ Times on your wall, like it was a poster, raise your hand. And I think I might have had the Danny one, one of the Danny ones. That was great. So anyway, you guys have also starting to try to introduce a lot of new things. Shawn, tell us a little bit about some of your challenges. You took this over in 2021.
Right.
DJX became what it is now, the changeover in 22 officially.
Yeah.
And you've obviously now kind of taken this over, and tell us a little bit about your challenges and kind of what your role has been and the direction that you're looking to take it. A lot of new stuff that we saw this year, and I want to get into that, but I want to kind of hear the story about it from your perspective, since you're really the guy.
Sure. I mean, listen, I've always known the business for the 30 years that Jim was there. And I've always touched base in my career coming back to the company and wanted to share with them, the experience that I had in events and integrated media and the parallel and paradigm between, a magazine and an event. For us, it was really important when we were looking at the business and doing the research, how Jim is humble, but you're talking about award-winning journalism. You're talking about #1 market share magazine. You're talking about a very, strong event. How do we evolve that, the brand, the experience on site? How do we make it culturally relevant? And yet at the same time, ensure the integrity of the legacy that's been created in 30 years past us. I think I had said to you once, and I've repeated it a few times, it's kind of like turning a cruise ship around in a pond, because you want to do it so slowly and ensure that all the levers that are part of this business and how it functions internally as well as outwardly facing, market facing, are ones that don't shock the system. And I think, when we look back at, what we've done in the last 2 years, to a little bit more than 2 years, 2.5 years, really proud of the team and what the work that we've done. And we work hard all the time. But to be able to really start to evolve this new brand and become currently culturally relevant, as well as modernize the business, digitize the business, being able to get analytics and data that we've not been able to get before, that we could share with the industry, as I was saying earlier, to make opportunity happen, whether that's on surveys of product and gear that's out there. How do people listen to audio? What do they do on their free time? Or what is their world around the DJ, and what are the challenges that they have? And I think one of the things you and I talked about, Justin, is, and have continued to, is how do we help this community, right? And what are the needs? And so we've looked into, and a lot more to come, those opportunities. But the goal for us has been to reflect, and an event can only be a magnifying glass to the industry that it represents, but to reflect, the full spectrum. And we launched a video last year and a half ago, Why the X? And it was a cinematic video about us wanting to represent, to Jim's point earlier, the entire spectrum of the quadrants. X doesn't stop, doesn't stand for, Expo. It's about, the 4 quadrants of the X, and what are those communities and how do we bring them together? It's the center of energy. It's where the treasure is. And so for us, it magnifies out from there. And that's what our goal is, to reflect in the industry, to be, whether it's gear, technology, conversation, networking, camaraderie, and take that to the next levels.
I like it. And we're definitely seeing that. The first thing I would say that I saw probably starting maybe in the winter or before was the calling all DJs hashtag. And I always kind of wonder, and this is, hey, people know me, I say it like it is. I always felt, there was the social media could be improved, right, on the DJ Expo side and DJX, especially when it changed over. And all of a sudden, I started to see things that I hadn't seen, and the engagement was there, and you were reaching out to and featuring club DJs, mobile DJs, not just the people that you're going to put on the front of DJ Life magazine, but the people that actually attend the shows, the people that are actually paying for tickets, and those people that support our show, that, it goes both ways, right? So talk a little bit about quickly the effect of social media and what that has done, and kind of the before and after with the show.
Sure.
And then we'll go into also the summer camp for youth, the NXT, which I thought was really cool.
Thank you. Jim, you mind if I jump in on that to start?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
If you look at it, calling all DJs, it does go into, and for those that have seen the video, which has now been redesigned, it's about inclusivity, and that's a really important thing for us, internally, externally, who we work with, how we work. So that is a really, really important aspect of it. Calling all DJs, it's precisely that, all DJs, and creating an environment that attracts DJs from different mindsets and different, levels of experience, whether it's a club or a studio recording or a mobile or, anything in between. So that was part of it. When we got involved in the rebranding of DJX, we did separate out our socials as well as our website from what was connected directly to the magazine in the past. And we really wanted to get a sense of the engagement. So yeah, the numbers, and it was quiet and all of that. We were kind of really looking at the analytics and seeing where we were, and letting it stand on its own as if it's a new brand, not related to the past. And that's exactly what we did. Separating it out allowed us to really get a sense of the engagement and the activity, being, as opposed to being lost, in the sea of, I think we have 175,000 people following us on Facebook, in terms of the magazine alone. So if we wanted to really look at the business, and so it was also very much about the community. And you'll notice not just in our socials, but in our marketing, everything we have done has indicated or addressed the community component, the networking. Our socials have collaboration from the marketplace themselves, from DJs every day. We want them to have that accessibility to the show. So yeah, what we saw this year, I think, going into the show about 3 weeks before, and going from it, and I have some statistics which are kind of mind-blowing I got yesterday, so pardon me as I look to the left for a second, but our increase in unique user reach on Facebook alone was up 2,800% as we went through the show cycle. 128% in terms of engagement levels were up. 380% on Instagram profiles. So what we did was kind of like, it was a canned energy that just popped as we got into the show. And I think, and I hope that our collaborative approach with the marketplace, just like our conversations, Justin, are about, engaging. A DJ owns a piece of this experience, and it's a show for DJs, mostly by DJs. And we want to continue to tailor the business that way.
And you definitely can see that, and you can feel that, and that was one of the things that I said was just the vibe was just different this year for sure. Jim, how are you over there?
I'm good.
The legend. You see, I get roped in with this. This is I like this because I want to with you guys. But let's say hello to our audience real quick. What's going on, Patrice? How are you? Thanks for checking in. We know this guy, Jason Longobardo.
Jason, Can't get away from this guy. He's everywhere I am.
The All Legend Show. Yeah.
Right.
We talked to Lehman and checking in. Lou Bars. What's up, Lou? How are you? So we mentioned NXT. So there was a summer camp this year. Who wants to talk about that? Because I thought that was really cool. That's one of the new things that I was very interested in seeing how it went, and let's hear about that.
Well, that was part of our broader approach and evolution of the show. And it was something that Shawn was especially passionate about. So I'm going to let him give you the details on that one.
Thanks, Jim. When I looked at 22 and you see busloads coming from the police athletic leagues and groups that are in Harlem and Pennsylvania and Philly, and you look on the floor in 22, there were so many kids there. And going back to the passion that DJs have and teaching them to see these young DJs, these emerging DJs, coming there, it was like, well, how do we formalize that? And we also believe a lot in DJ education independently of, the kid and a kid related or youth related program, I shouldn't say kid. And so we were working with and had the conversation with Coach Hapa, who's very much behind the movement to federalize DJ education. There's him in that picture there, and Tim. So what we did was we created an experience that was a summer camp experience. It was 3 days of 90-minute clinics each day. We had a certified program that has been proven, that Coach Hapa has created at multiple levels. We had a certification at the end of that to give these kids the acknowledgement to get involved. But watching these kids, and one of them did not know how to DJ or play a set at all, actually became, on day 2, was able to put a set out there. And I got teary-eyed because not only was Hapa doing such an amazing job with these kids, but the passion that these rock star instructors were there. And I give them all the gratitude and credence in the world. These guys are just so engaged in teaching the young ones. And if you think about it, that's the bullpen. That's the farm system. You get guys like Alpha Theta, there you go, or you get guys like, these brands that are out there that are using ambassadors, DJs that are out there to show their product. Well, what about what's coming next? And it gives them also a first glance at the farm system. It is a commitment that we at, Hazan Media have made, DJX, DJ Life have made, and we will continue. It's a serious commitment. We encourage industry, and non-endemic industry brands to be a part of that experience. We'd like to do that year round, and we will continue the camp in 24 and hopefully expand it because it was really well received. Really well received.
It looked really like it was, the concept of it was excellent, and definitely kudos to you guys. So let's move on here. Talk a little about the exhibit hall, and questions, comments, definitely drop them down below. And there was more thought, it seemed, put into the exhibit hall this year. For me, I just thought that it was initially I didn't understand even what you did, but I just thought it was spaced out better. It felt less like a department store, more kind of like a community, of DJs and event performers. So talk a little bit about kind of the design aspect of it. I heard there was a mishap on day 1, right? And then
Love it.
We want to talk about any vendors and anyone who has comments or anything like that. We definitely would want to hear from you. But Shawn and Jim, let's hear it.
Well, for starters, I mean, we got more PA companies this year, which is no small thing, especially to the mobile sector. I mean, they were we were really gratified to get QSC and Electro Voice back.
Yes.
Those are major brands in our world. So that's a start. I mean, Shawn is more of the maestro in terms of how the floor is laid out. But for me, because I'm usually doing most of the seminars and the after dark parties, I fly through the exhibit hall, and it's always my first impression is this exhibit hall working? And luckily 30 seconds in, I was like, okay, this works good. And I'll let Shawn give you a rundown of the layout.
What Jim is not telling you is that how many times I bother him about merchandising. And you said department store before, I kind of come from a little bit of that well-merchandised world. And so our goal here is to create communities within the floor. If you took a look at it from a top view, the floor is actually shaped like an X. And so that was the beginning of where we wanted to go. As you're looking at pictures where, we created some lifestyle experiences, but the concept of the floor, the show floor was up. I think the number was 26% in terms of square footage. We were wall bound in some ways. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't fit more space in there. We can, but we also want to make sure there's a balance between what I call dwelling areas and spaces to hang out, as well as merchandising the show floor for exhibit space. I think you saw much more of a lifestyle experience on the show floor. That's again to reflect the branding of the business and where we're going. We had more merch on the floor. We had a portable pop-up experience that Jesse Dean was gracious enough to work with us on and to help create. Rock and Soul in New York City did a great job. Thank you right there with the vinyl shop. That was a great pop-up concept shop that was there. And that's something that I've had an interest in doing. It really speaks to other areas of what we're looking to do. We had on the floor a Next Games Lounge, which comes off the X Games concept. We had old school Donkey Kong. So under the theme of Welcome to the Future, you saw some retro throughout the floor, which was, by design. What was also nice about the floor was that there was 26%, I believe the number was, of our exhibit space were new to the show. New meaning they haven't been there in the last couple of years or ever. And for us, that's really important barometer because we want to continue to give, the attendees that come to our show every year an opportunity to see something new and reflect what's going on in the market. Not to avoid the mishap that you referenced, but like everything, that there's always, code and things like that. We were designing a canopy that was going over the stage. We had spent a lot of time working on it. We built videos on it, and that was going to become a 3D projection mapping experience that unfortunately, in the midst of all of the chaos, didn't get into the system early enough. And so by the time it was found, we had to wind up, we couldn't recode the show floor at that point in time. And unfortunately, we didn't have a ton of time to respond to that. So as a result, we wound up just taking that down and we'll save it for another day. But we have plenty of other things in the pocket. But despite what I thought for me visually was less appealing than I would have liked it to be, and I think I speak for the company when I say that, I will tell you that the energy and your statement before was a real big part of that. You could feel it felt different. It felt different going into it. And I haven't been to that many of them and it felt different, but it felt different. And it felt more like a community. People were coming together. So while I was taking that banner down, people were walking past it, not even noticing. And part of me, as much as I love visual presentation, part of me also realized the importance of this is networking and the experience and the excitement of being in that toy store, or being educated and learning about how to evolve your business upstairs. And so, it happened, but it did not have any impact on the show as it related to the business that got done or the experiences that had happened. And so that's important.
Yeah, there's always a moment at noon on Tuesday when everybody is ready to go in there. We had to make them wait about 10 minutes, I think, this year. Yep. But there's always that moment when the door opens and everybody comes flowing through. That's a moment that we always want to capture. If you notice, there's no seminars going on at that moment. All the attention is on the exhibitors and the exhibit floor, and we do that very intentionally.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you, and Jim, this is for you since you go back farther. As we're talking about exhibit hall, what would you say was the craziest or most challenging thing that happened to you at a trade show? And I'm gonna guess it goes back to when it was at the big place where it wasn't like
the convention center.
Yeah, the convention center. That was a nightmare.
Okay, well, first of all, you should know that I have very little to do with the exhibit floor. I don't sell it. I don't lay it out. I do work with some of the brands for their sponsored seminars. So I do the things I remember.
Make
are,
it general
well,
show
I'll give you a good one. So I think this was back when the Hard Rock was the Taj, and for some reason, for about 2 or 3 years in a row, we would get these insane thunderstorms that would happen the first day or the second day of the show, and there was the ceiling at the Taj had not been fixed in I don't know how long, and there was one giant leak, and it would always fall on our biggest exhibitor. I mean, literally directly on Pioneer. So it became an issue every year, and we would go back to this was the old Taj. They would just never fix it, and then luckily the Hard Rock has addressed these things. But that was always, our heart was in our throat every year, wondering if number one, if it was going to rain, and number two, if it was going to sprinkle right on Pioneer. But yeah, I mean, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, I remember doing a DJ Expo in San Francisco, and this is back in the days of vinyl. This is, I don't know, maybe like 2000. So you still had turntablists, and we were doing a night with turntablists, and these turntablists showed up without cartridges, which was stunning to me. But the only thing
especially back then.
Yeah, and San Francisco being the epicenter of turntablism, but nonetheless, we had to get cartridges. So I hopped in a cab. I broke into the trade show floor, went over to an unnamed vendor, took about 6 cartridges, and we did the show. And then at the, cartridges are like underwear. You can't, once you use them, you can't put them back. It's not like a controller. So I think we had to do some sort of barter with this unnamed vendor. But yeah, being a thief actually paid off that night.
No returns on cartridges and needles.
Definitely not.
They do not qualify.
Nope. Yep.
That's
fruit of the loom.
That's a no negotiation.
No. But yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, there was a vendor many years ago at the very first DJ Expo that had a fire marshal issue, and they would not open the floor until he opened, until he complied with the fire marshal. And our former publisher at the time was nose to nose with this guy, and that's pretty amazing. In retrospect, at the time, we were like a little nervous of, are we going to open this floor? Because there was hundreds of people waiting to come in. But yeah, there are things that go on behind the curtain that are not known, and very rarely revealed.
I'm going to ask you more questions as this goes along, because I'm going to chip away. I'm going to chip away and get some real good nuggets out of you.
As long as there's no mug shots involved, then fine. I'll tell you all about it.
I love it. All right. So, Jim, I think we're going to, since you just kind of said this, and we already knew this anyway, but we're going to bring it on to the education and seminars. And this seems to be from, I put out some social media posts and was looking for feedback from the audience. And this seems to be the place where people want to see improvement and maybe some new stuff. And I'm already seeing some comments here. But that said, there's room for improvement everywhere, of course. And I know there was some good stuff happening this year. So I want to talk a little bit about what you guys had going on this year, and really just the goal and objective of what you're trying to do. When you go to a trade show, for me, it's always been about the exhibit hall, but there's so many people, especially people that haven't been DJing for a while, that really rely on these seminars. And I never really realized it when you're working at the trade show and on the exhibit floor, but it's a whole other thing going on at the seminars. So, Jim, let's hear from you. Let's hear about this year. Let's hear about, education and seminars at DJX.
So again, the seminars reflect the broad approach to the show. Not every seminar is for every DJ. So for example, if there are seminars that are branded as for beginners, if you're not a beginner, that's not for you. But we want beginners to come there. So we have some that are specifically branded for it. This year, I would say we did probably a couple more things on content creation, which is definitely a trend, and it's still going on in the sort of post-Twitch world. And those are seminars that are always very packed. We also had to have, not had to, but we did 50 years of hip hop. So We had a hip hop seminar. We also brought in a keynote. There we go. There's Jazzy J with Cool DJ Red Alert next to him. And again, a packed room for that. People were really thrilled with that one. We also, on Monday, had DC from Tag Team, the group that did Whoop There It Is, who was very entertaining and explained, his trip through the ranks. So for the mobiles, we try to break it into a bunch of different quadrants. Again, if there's something that is really hot that year, we try to tackle it. There's some basic things that we always do. We always have games. Again, it's we do these panels and they're packed. So that tells me we're doing something right. So somebody like Jake Jacobson, who does like an hour and a half teaching games and dances to people, they really love that seminar. That's one we do every year. Some things we change up. For example, we have a remixer producer panel, which usually I bring some star remixer producers, but this year I did a workshop instead with DJ Kova, something slightly different. Again, it was well received. And we do these keynotes where we bring in industry legends, etc. We brought in Dave Audet, who is a Grammy Award-winning remixer producer. Again, room was packed, and people asking all kinds of questions. So again, depending on what your interest is, I think we have something for you. For the most part, most of the panels are very well received. One of the other components is sponsored seminars, which exhibitors do. And I think we had a half a dozen of them this year. And it ranged from, Pioneer and Mixware doing their seminars on Monday to Carnival Cruise Lines, explaining how they hire people. This actually gave DJs an opportunity to become employed if you want to work for a cruise line. We think that's pretty exciting that we actually, bring a job fair to DJX. We had some other brands. Chevet always does a terrific job on Tuesday mornings. That's like a 10 a.m. to 11:30 session. Again, that's something we do every year, and it's always packed, and they always give away products. So, most of the people are very, very happy with that, and we'll continue doing it.
Can I add to that for a second, Justin? Because I don't really get involved in the seminars like Jim, gives me a half hour on the floor. But also realize that you have to look at the attendance. And what is interesting about our attendance, and this has been relatively consistent, 20%, a little bit over, come to our show. They've been there for over 20, 25 years consistently. We also have another 20% of our show that's coming for the first time. So the balance of some of that is really important to reflect all the resources that are coming, or all the attendees that are coming to the show. So it is, it's a far more challenging job as trafficking seminars and making sure that there is currency to that. And Jim does a phenomenal job with that. It's also, there were thematic parts of it, wellness, right? Mentorship. These are all really important aspects that we see being discussed on in the market. So,
and we also have to address, the bottom line of a lot of these people. We want to show them how to make more money in their jobs, in addition to all of these other subjects. That is, a very crucial part. And that's why a lot of people come to the show. And that is something that we very much understand. And we try to address every year.
And you're right. Everything has to evolve. There's no question. And hopefully it always is the case that there's room for improvement, right? Because you never want to hit a ceiling. I don't believe in perfection anyway, right? You always want to evolve. But just to give you an idea, this year's show are all access paid passes, right? Which give you the access to education. Our all access paid passes were up almost double compared to last year, which was a high watermark in the history, 34 years of the show. So there is more and more importance to the seminars, the education, the keynote experiences, but just the networking in the community, hanging out outside those doors in between sessions, really important. And so, everything will always evolve and how we go about it, right? Just like the show floor does, just like After Dark does. But we love to hear the feedback, right? Because how do you make improvements without it? And that's what you said earlier in the top of the segment. Was I came and saw you at 12:39. I want to know what you're going through. What's it like? What's it about? What can be done? And so yeah, keep the commentary coming. We sent out a survey. Send it back, please. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Well, we're gonna bring it out to the audience right now. I've got some comments. We're gonna start off really gentle with our buddy Lehman Lee. Great session with Dave Odd, and you mentioned that before, right, Jim?
Yeah, Dave O'Day, there's a Grammy-winning remixer producer who also played.
Excuse me.
Yeah, there's the accent on the end. He also played the opening night party at HQ2 at Ocean Monday, and again, phenomenal party, was packed. Everybody had a blast.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people will say it doesn't connect, and I don't understand that at all.
No, I mean, listen. Here's the thing to be. This is the most important thing for people to understand, and sometimes people fail to understand, and I can't help them, but I'll try. This show is broad. It is for all DJs. Just because a seminar is not for you, then don't go to the seminar that is for you. If you have any questions for a seminar, ask them. That's why that's why you have microphones there. So you are allowed to go in there and ask questions, challenge the people who are up on the seminars if you want to. That's fine. But the first night, just to go through the after darks, the first night was a very EDM show. Second night was Scratch Bastard and some party DJs like Chi-Town Shanny. And so it had a mixture of mobile and turntablists. And then the third night, we had a mobile party that was very specific to the mobile community that was run by Jake Jacobson and Michael Everest early. And then we turned it into a hip hop party. So 4 very distinctly different types of parties. And, if you like that stuff, it's great. If you don't, you can go to dinner. But we are going to continue to offer a broad range of events and musical events and seminars, and that is how we have succeeded all these years. Is at having a broad approach. We really believe in bringing in the entire community, and we're going to continue to do that.
Right.
When I saw that,
short period of time, by the way, you have a short period of time. You have 3 nights, really, to accomplish that.
Right.
That is a huge part of this industry, and it when I saw that relationship last year, and Marcus Schultz, I believe, right?
Marcus was on Monday. Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. It's a great venue, right? So cool to check it out just as a performer, as a DJ, to see something like that. Is every DJ in the world plays there. So I think that was great. And the next thing is, got a couple of other comments here from our friend Chris. All right, he's got some suggestions for seminars. He's saying diversify, how to profit or add AV services to your DJ company. Also, the big fear, will AI replace DJs in the future? He's saying floor opened around 12:30. And then following that up with need to actually allow a break from seminars so people with all access passes can get to the expo floor. Mark the beginning of seminar, post a list early, make it available. Wasn't made clear.
We're not going to do that, and here's why. We want to give everybody a choice. We want to give everybody a broad choice. You can go to the seminars when you want, and you can go to the exhibits when you want. Nobody has a gun to your head that says you have to go to either one. We would rather do 37 seminars and give you a broad range of options. Otherwise, you have fewer seminars. Would you rather have fewer seminars? Because it's not an either or proposition exactly where you say, well, I have to go to the seminars now. I don't want to go to the seminars now, but they're forcing me to go. Nobody's forcing you to go anywhere. You can participate in the seminars that you want to participate in, and you have 6 hours each day to go to the exhibit floor. I go to all kinds of trade shows. I borrow ideas from a lot of these trade shows, and I see how they work. again, it is up to you when you can. We're not going to force you to eat lunch at a certain time. We're not going to force you to take a break between seminars. You can do it whenever you want. You have 6 hours in the afternoon to go to the exhibits. So we have to break it down some way. We have to fit in 30 plus seminars in the space of 4 days. And believe me, it's not easy, but we managed to do it. Ultimately, it's your choice as to what you want to participate in.
You know, to add to that, last year when we went over the survey and we heard, you know, and got feedback just in general, one of the things that we heard a lot of was, you know, letting us know information earlier, communicate more about the show. We did ask that now question this year. How do we do with communication? I think it was 76% felt like it was a dramatic increase, which I'll take, you know, first year out of the box. We launched a newsletter called the DJX Remix. That was a daily newsletter on site as well that went out by email. But the newsletter was hoping to keep everybody up to date. We started the process of promoting what seminars were out there at an earlier level. So we're talking about that. We did have an early experience, which was more of an open format seminar that was at 8:30, maybe a little too early for those. But yeah, there is a balancing act. I've run some very significant shows. I ran the second largest event in the country, and I could tell you the balance between what they did for education and a show floor was much more out of whack. And ideas for seminars and stuff like that, you know, it's again about reflecting what's going on in the market. So, you know, doesn't mean we're gonna make it make sense to have all of them, and you know, but there certainly are opportunities to. We always want to hear what people have to say, but we hope that the messaging that we're putting out there is certainly with more clarity and at a better timing for people to prepare for exactly that issue.
I can only imagine. I mean, I can't. I don't have to imagine. It's been my life trying to make DJs happy. And to do it in this form must be even more difficult. I mean, you have accommodations and they're staying over, man. I mean, you know, they're moving in for a few days. So, you know, you might not get this that much. I don't know. Thank you both. And Jim, especially doing it even longer. Thank you guys for doing this year after year after year and giving DJs and event performers a place to really go and meet and see things and hear things and you know, so thank you. That said, any other comments on seminars? I want to close that part out. Jim, Shawn, anything else to add? Otherwise, we'll just quickly move, kind of address them.
I mean, basically, you know, we keep our ears open every year. We go to other trade shows. I visit with so many DJs and talk to so many DJs, commiserate with them. You know, I try to come up with a couple of new things every year. There's certain things that are tried and true. And we really have to talk about weddings. We really have to talk about bar mitzvahs. We really have to talk about gear. There are certain things, and, you know, interactive games, which is a very big sort of East Coast mobile thing. That's not going to change. We're going to have different takes on them, hopefully. But again, you know, if we're filling the room and people are enjoying these seminars and they're asking questions, and I'm sitting there watching them, we're going to continue, you know, on that path. I mean, that's what we want to do. And if people have good ideas for seminars that they want to do themselves, or maybe a seminar that they want to see, they can definitely email me, and people do it, and they're doing it right now. And those are things I take to heart. And some of them, if they're doable or they make sense, or I think they'll be entertaining, particularly entertaining given a certain moderator, we'll do them.
And that's something you don't get. And that's one of the things I love about this business and coming into it, is you don't get that kind of engagement and interaction. I mean, that's a wide open invitation to say, come up with this, you know, an idea that makes sense for you and people that you know, or what your tribe is in this market. Yep. Right. And reflect that. We started the conversation saying that it's an inclusive community for all types of DJs, calling all DJs, engaging the community, mentorship, inclusivity. All of this falls into exactly what's been said. So you're getting that engagement. Take advantage of that, because that's the best way to reflect what's going on in the market.
Right. And stay in touch with us.
And you guys will listen. And I mean, I've literally seen a show come, or a seminar that was created within a few weeks from an idea that was a great idea. A couple of years back, I know people that, just put a show, put something together with you guys because there was a great concept and it happened. So whenever there's a good idea and there's good content behind it, you guys will certainly listen. I can only imagine. So thank you for that. Let's move on to the parties and the events and the happenings. So the first question, how does everyone out there like the Hard Rock? I like the Hard Rock. I think it's big, right? It's a big venue. It's a lot of walking, but I personally like the Hard Rock. Asking the audience out there, what do you guys and girls think of it? I think the venue's great. I like having that Club Dare right in there. I think it's really cool. But let's talk a little bit about some of the parties, some of the events, the hotel space,
Yeah, we did it. We did it in several different venues. We have forged a relationship with the promoter at HQ2. He's a guy we've known for a long time. And we worked with him basically to do the opening party. The Tuesday DAS party, DAS audio party, we benefit from the weather. It's a wonderful beach party right there on the boardwalk. 2 years in a row, we've really filled that place, and it's been terrific. And then Dare on the final night, we did a 2-in-1 party. We've done events over at Boogie Nights as well, which was not available this year. But 4 parties in 3 different clubs that you can all walk to. I mean, we think that works.
And there's a lot more interest, right? Those are the 3 night times, right? But we've now started to move into not just after dark, but twilight, and even breakfast experiences. So you could go from yoga to an educational thing, to shop the floor, the show floor, to cocktail hour, a networking event, to an after dark experience. So it's not only from, crib to or cradle to death, as he said, but it's also from sunrise to sunset, and then again. So again, it's an engagement factor, I think. The
Right, and
itself, go ahead.
That's also one of the reasons why we don't start seminars at like 8 on the dot in the morning, like a lot of because DJs. Listen, I've only done this show 33 years in a row.
Know your audience.
Right, I know my audience, and
Yeah.
some of these folks barely make it through the second day. I mean, I've seen,
they're coming on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're staying out late and they're connecting with friends they haven't seen in a long time, and sometimes they hit the wall in the middle of the day in the middle of a seminar. I've seen people snoring in the middle of that, and it's because they were out partying. So yeah, we try not to start the seminars too early, and we try to have a balance there. We'll do 1 or 2 in the morning, but not a whole lot of them, because if you want to get up and run the boardwalk, and there are people who do it, God bless you, but some people need that extra hour to sleep in.
Yeah. If you think about let's just say you're a fan of DJs and music, right? If you think about the talent that you had over a 3 to 4 day period, and if you please, Jim, drop some names for me, because I'll forget them all. But
this year or over the years?
I mean, let's say this year, but I mean, if you want to drop some names over the years is great too. But even just this year, where else are you going to get that eclectic talent of DJs together over that short of a time period? So
yeah, there's not a lot of shows in America that do that. I mean, this year, obviously, we had a sort of special focus on hip hop. So, we had a lot of the hip hop legends, Cool DJ, Red Alert, Jazzy J, Scribble, Melly Mel, Grandmaster D from Houdini. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Oh yeah, Sugar Hill Gang, Scorpio, Melly Mel, DC from Tag Team. Just a lot of legends, a lot of people who've done a lot of things for this industry. And I say it all the time. If it wasn't for guys like DJs like Grand Wizard Theodore, the guy who invented the scratch, we wouldn't have this trade show, we wouldn't have this magazine, we wouldn't have this industry. They, and that's why we venerate them by bringing them to the show, and we do that with a lot of DJs, not just hip hop DJs. We've had disco DJs like Nicky Ciano. We've had people like Danny Tenaglia at the show. We've had the late Frankie Knuckles back in the day. Pretty much anybody who's done anything in this industry, we've tried to get them at the show. We have made, I'm running out of hip hop legends, to be honest. We've gotten a lot of them to do the show, but we've also gotten like CNC Music Factory. We've gotten turntablists like Hubert, Paul Van Dyke. These are all just off. Yeah, Marcus Schultz, of course, who's done the show several times, and he's a great success story. So yeah, we feel like we have an imperative to do this. I didn't book Lady Gaga, but
is that true?
Jason. No, I didn't book him, but we did have Lady Gaga perform at the show with a promo only party, and she did an artist panel, which was very amusing. I didn't know who she was. She had one single out at the time, and she waited until the entire panel was seated. And then she walked into the packed floor, and everybody saw who she was, and everybody remembered her. And then about 3 months later, she was huge. So yeah, we were very fortunate.
Pitbull also, Jim.
Pitbull, well, same circumstance. Yeah, it was a promo only party, and he performed with a band, which was surprising. But yeah, we've gotten a ton of different people over the years. Salt and Peppa. Any number of DJs, and we'll continue to do that. That's really we'll leverage what we can to get people in there. We'll if we can do a keynote with them, if we think that person is interesting and can do a Q&A and we can fill the room, we'll do that as well. And we're always looking for new people.
It was a lot of fun. I wasn't there for every party, but over the years and I've grown to enjoy them more and more as I've advanced in years, and the faces become more familiar, right? Sure. Year after year. So
yeah, and I think we see a lot of people going to parties and listening to music that they wouldn't necessarily listen to in their hometown. They use it as a networking opportunity, and at the end of the day, they have a good time. This year, there was like a moment for me when Sugar Hill Gang was playing on stage with Melly Mel and Scorpio. And, usually when people have their phones over their head at a concert, it's a little annoying. But for me, I looked around and I thought, like, look at these people. Look how hard they're getting off on this. This is the music of their life. These are songs that they still play, especially, Rapper's Delight. And, it was a moment for me that said, yeah, this works. And I'm glad everybody was having a great time.
And it was also a moment for them, right? It was so obvious how much they were enjoying the process, the talent themselves on the stage. And,
it was a triumphant moment, I would say. Yeah, that party was good.
And from what I heard, it got better as it went along and ended really, really.
Yeah,
really
I stuck around to the end, and there's a lot of backslapping and beer breath. It was fun. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So we've got some comment that I want to basically turn it over at this point for questions and comments to our audience. While we're waiting for some additional comments, Jim, I told you I was going to come back to you.
Okay.
2 questions. Number 1. First question, you mentioned Grand Wizard Theodore before, and you mentioned his invention of the scratch.
Mm-hmm.
I've been learning more and more about the origin, and
the needle drop. Yeah.
So, okay, so maybe these are connected. I've read that he did it by accident. It wasn't his intention. Can you expand on that?
Well, I tried to get him to tell that story on the seminar. I had heard it many times before. Apparently, he was in his bedroom, and he was trying to cover up the sound with his mother. So he sort of accidentally came across the needle drop because he just wanted to hear little pieces. And as he was going back and forth to find that spot, he thought, well, this is awfully interesting, and turned it into one of the foundational parts of hip hop and scratch DJing, and it has obviously evolved massively in the 50 years since. And Theodore's amazing too. Like if you talk to him, he first of all, he's a guy who never ages. You have no idea how old he is, and he remembers everything. So this is I think the second or third time we've had him at the show, and he's a great guy. And in fact, he actually helped out with Next. I believe he was over there with the kids, so he was giving back as well. But
Right.
yeah, so there's a lot of apocryphal stories in the hip hop world, but I think his is real.
If you want to learn about the origin of DJing, you need to learn about the evolution and the origin of hip hop, because the two are so intertwined. You can't have one without the other. So I love that history being brought back into Expo and to DJX, and great job. And I hope you keep finding people to pull out, because I love seeing the next person that it's going to be. So
yeah, we're fortunate in the sense that we're in New York City.
I was going to say we're local.
Yeah,
fairly local.
There's still a lot of legends out there, and all along the East Coast in particular. But New York, whether it's like a disco guy or EDM DJ or a scratch or a hip hop legend, we're always reaching out to them, and we want to put on good keynotes. In fact, that's my favorite thing to do at the show is the Q&A, because I'm one of those history nerds too. I read all those like music history books, and I watch all those documentaries, music documentaries all the time. So if I can do an hour-long interview in front of people and have people be entertained by it, then I'm thrilled.
All right. So your job is essentially to write about, and has been, the DJ industry from every angle, right? And you've seen this from every angle. And you're so unassuming, which is, I love that about you. But like you Google Jim, and it's like Jim and like DJ Premier and like Cascade, and then he's
I try to never take those pictures, but somehow they get out. Yeah.
You're a very hard guy to find. It's true. I could tell.
Good. Good. It ain't about that. Listen, it ain't about me. It's about the people who we bring to the show. I am perfectly happy to be in the background.
I love that. So while you're in the background, you had to have seen something that would be entertaining or would be good for our audience to hear. Give us a really good story going back in your time, with just maybe you were covering an event or a DJ or whatever, maybe something they told you inspiring, whatever. Pull it out of your hat and give us something good, Jim.
Well, one of my favorite stories was from Marcus Schultz a few years ago. He tells a story about when he was in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was a teenager, and he had vinyl records in a crate that he was riding on a bicycle to a gig, and the whole thing he got clipped by a car, and the whole thing goes, and it just showed the determination. And he's picking up pieces of vinyl off the road, and doing the gig because he wanted to be a DJ more than anything. And he was like almost cracking up a little bit telling the story, but it conveyed his dedication. And I think the people in the room could understand that it's not an accident that he got where he got. It shows the level of persistence and the striving for success that we love to see. And that's one of the ones that I remember. There have been other good stories about like we had Nicky Ciano a couple of years ago, and he was explaining the original disco scene in New York City, which is just stunning. You think it was always this big thing. It wasn't. It was only like a couple of DJs and a couple of clubs, and he was rattling off all these places. And just to hear him remember all of it was pretty stunning. but yeah, I mean, I like I said, I go to trade shows. I go to the Amsterdam show. I go to Winter Music Conference, and there's always an anecdote. There's always a moment where I think, you know what, that's something I can borrow for my show. And if I can get somebody interesting from one of those shows to come to our show, I'll do it.
Or when you're just out listening to music and doing what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I still go out a lot, because I kind of have to, and I like it. I'm still a music fan, and so yeah, I'll give you an example. I was in Miami once. I don't know, this might have been about 8 or 10 years ago, and I went to a Deadmau5 party that was at this little bitty club, and he played, and it was okay. I'd seen him a bunch of times, and I walked in the next room and I heard this very different kind of set going on. And I walked in and I saw this really skinny woman that looked very unassuming. She looked like a teenager, but the music was incredible. I'd never heard anything like that. The way her tracks were, and I found out who it was, and it turns out it was Rez, who is she's gone on to become really, really big. But you have those moments where you accidentally run into somebody, or you happen to be in a nightclub when somebody who's on the ascension plays, and you think that person's going to be big. And as an example with Rez, it happened that way, just like it happened with Deadmau5 10 years before that. We were the first people to put, DJ Times was the first magazine to put Deadmau5 on the cover, first one to put Rez on the cover. We try to be first with some of this stuff, and sometimes we get it right.
I love it. All right, we got some comments. Let's say hello to Marco. You mentioned before Electro Voice. Congratulations, Marco. New team, Electro Voice. Thanks for checking in, my man.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, that's a very serious brand. So,
yeah. Oh, duh. I was happy to see them. Lynn Boldeck. Hey there from Canada. Hey, DJX 20. My buddy Jeff lives over there. DJX 23 was my first night. My first, not my last for sure. Hard Rock was awesome. The panel seminars were great, and the 50 years of hip hop was epic. Thank you for checking in, Lynn.
Thanks for coming to that panel.
And A is only one part of Canada, Justin.
Right.
Right. Not the French part so much.
Right. Yeah. I call upstate New York Canada.
Right.
We're gonna give Jason one more. I gotta filter through these here. All right, this is the good one, I thought. What about offering a live stream pass?
Now, why would we do that, Jason?
For DJs that can attend but pay to watch seminars live. The question is, who would? Well, I mean, you'd have to do a really good job with it, but
we would also prefer that you actually come to the show. You can't really network streaming. I mean, you can, but it ain't the same. Yeah. I mean, we still, we embrace the modern technology. We're obviously doing a streaming thing right now, but we want you to come to the show. We want the seminars to be special. We want the networking to be special. We want the interaction with the brands. We want the DJs to talk to the brands, and we want the events at the end of the night to be special. And I'm not quite sure you can do that we're not, I know, put it this way. During COVID, when some of the other conventions like ADE and Winter Music Conference were doing online events, I participated best I could, but it was not the same. And we want people to come to the show. That's basically the answer.
That does come out of the whole pandemic thing. And I've sat and still sit on event industry boards and committees talking about, technologies that are available and this transfer from physical to, online experiences. And now they're hybrid. And there are, to DJ Darth Vader's statement, yes, there are ways to do it, but some of the technologies, frankly, are glitchy from an event show floor perspective, not the seminar side. The industry of trade shows really they didn't do it well Frankly, they didn't even know how to sell it. There were a lot of hiccups. I will tell you that many convention centers across the world now are installing studios for streaming, and it depends on the kind of streaming, meaning the content. A seminar is different than an engagement or social selling. And we're looking at all these technologies that are out there and looking to develop some, but it's got to be the right balance between the exclusivity and, frankly, the equitability of those that come to pay for a pass to come to the show and to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there's a lot of aspects to making that a reality, but it also has to be the proper technology. And I don't think DJX, DJ Life, or HMG are looking to be a guinea pig in that we've seen that too many times in the past. I do think that there are opportunities and making product and information accessible. And you saw a little bit of that with DJ Mike Marquez acted as a correspondent for DJ Life and interviewed, we were the first event that was happening after Pioneer acquired Serato. And you saw that live stream on site, well attended, as well as the product drop that Pioneer had the day of the opening of the show. So I think it's moving in a direction that obviously accessibility is part of it, but I also believe that it's got to be the right balance between technology and those that are on site versus those that aren't.
Yeah. I think it's a great comment. It's always a great idea to try to incorporate anything new and modern,
Well, the theme is welcome to the future. You have a comic book over there?
Yeah, I do.
So
then did was this handed out? Like, what was the story with this? But
so this was the first ever. This is the first ever DJ-centric AI visually generated comic book, and it is actually a reflection of our messaging put into a 36-page comic book that you'll maybe recognize some faces or names in the industry that are through there. But it is about the unification of DJs coming together, migrating to an event, and the power of music or the power of sound, which frankly is a universal language. And so it was just another way as an integrated media company that we thought it was certainly futuristic and fun and kitschy. And it's a limited edition copy. It's available. It was available at the show store. There are still some copies available. There'll be some left on Amazon that we have. And then from there, it'll go off, and we have some other plans coming to follow up on something like that. But it was a fun way of expressing our messaging. And again, finding a way to include the community. I could tell you one thing I've learned is as many DJs as I've met just about as many Star Wars and Star Trek fans along the way, and those that are collectors, and honestly, and I'm one of them. And so I think that, this kind of played in, again, to that lifestyle approach to things.
And it's a collectible.
Limited.
Yeah. My daughter tried to take it from me. I wouldn't let her.
We'll send her one.
I like it. Patrice. DJ Blake here. DJX 23 was amazing. Better than Disney and Christmas combined. Wow.
We're not competing with Disney, but we'll do our best.
No, but that's a lot.
Or
That's
DJ Blake, who is incredible and worked with us to set up the show. Actually, he came on. He interned for us at the day. Patrice, thank you. He was part of next summer camp. To just watch his smile. Honestly, this is what inspires next. DJ Smithy Boy was another one. To see that and guys that are there giving lessons and teaching and educating. This kid is more than a kid in candy. I mean, honestly, that's just beautiful. Beautiful.
I love that kid.
Greatable. He's a great kid.
He's part of that energy, and it's that vibe and the inclusivity that you're seeing more and more of. And the one thing that I've always had issues with personally in this industry, with myself too, is a lot of ego. Always a lot of ego. Yeah.
The DJs?
Yeah, surprising, right?
Really? Oh, no way. You mean
I will tell you, I didn't feel it this year. I really didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me projecting. I don't know. But like I said, the vibe was great. I think you guys did a great job. Always room for improvement, of course. So if you're watching this on the replay, drop your comments down below, please. We will share them.
And email us. Let us know.
These guys want your feedback. There was a survey sent out, so make sure you fill that in.
I can't go out at 12:30 at night, every night, so at some point it's going to slow me down. So.
They mentioned there was a comment section missing. Just reply to the email, right?
Right, and actually it's not at the end, it's actually in the middle, but there is a comment section that is there. But thank you for pointing that out. And yes, we've gotten emails as a result of it where people could write just the same way. So yeah,
okay,
of course.
Cool. But you can get your information to them for sure. But Please. That email was sent out like last week, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Anything you guys want to add before we say goodbye to our audience here and to everyone watching?
Jim?
Go Dogs. No, just go to djlifemag.com, see our latest issue. We'll be publishing 6 times a year. We'll have a wrap-up issue next month. We just got a ton of great pictures that can show you what we did in Atlantic City, and hopefully we'll see you again next year. And as I'd mentioned, if you have any good ideas, hit us up with an email.
Shawn?
I think it's if you look at and even just reflecting on this conversation, right? What we do is we are humble, right? And we're a part of the community. And to think that we bust our ass all year long doing the things that we do and the roller coaster ride of emotions that go with it, but to see it, design in it, up or down, but to see people gathering and know that we have a responsibility to the industry to see how people network and come together and do business and engage and learn and make friends and find mentors and feel grounded into something is, I think, the most rewarding aspect of this. And it's not just words, right? I do go out at 12:30 at night to meet guys like you and learn what's going on. And there are challenges that are out there. And Rome was not rebuilt in a day, and nor will the X, but we will continue to evolve, and we always want to hear that feedback. It's not unaccessible. It is an event that we ask for, your involvement and engagement. And that was a survey question as well. What would you like to participate and how? And talk to us so we can reflect further of it. And we have some more plans coming. I mean, this was really a good step in the right direction, but I think 24 you'll start to see more things come about, and we'll keep you apprised of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys both. I'm going to end really quickly. One of the things, if you go on the DJX Instagram page, there is a clip of Grand Wizard Theodore. We're going to keep talking about him, but I watched it, and he's actually talking at the NXT summer camp, I believe, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's where it was. And he's sitting there talking to 12 to 19-year-old people, and he just said something to the effect of, this industry is always here for you. And we're a group of people out there that have, collaborated and come together. And most of us are here for a love of music. And to have this type of event to come back to every year is really a great thing. And it gives us an opportunity to really come together with the people that we work with our peers. And it really is just a great opportunity. You've seen other shows come out, and there are other shows out there, but not anywhere near the scale. And I think the value of what DJX has always been, and I think will continue to be and get better at. So thank you, gentlemen, so much. Thank you to the audience, everyone on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. And thank you to all the DJs out there for being yourself and for watching. And we thank you. Jim, Shawn, be well. And we'll see you soon, okay? Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.